there is a miracle in stone. At the place where Buddha attained enlightenment, something is growing. This is the Mahabodhi temple in Bodh Gaya, Bihar. It's considered the most sacred site in Buddhism, and here beneath the tree with the new leaves, there is a giant statue of Buddha sitting in meditation, and at the tip of his right index finger, something remarkable has appeared. Over the past year, reports have trickled out about a tiny green sprout emerging from the sandstone. It looks like a single leaf shoot, fragile and reaching upwards. And for context, here's the hand again, wider than my head and carved so long ago that nobody knows who sculpted it or when. The sprout itself is only about an inch long, maybe 2 at the longest. Yet people are traveling from all over India to see it, because they believe this may be the living finger of enlightenment. Thousands of Buddhist pilgrims come to Bodh Gaya each year. They walk barefoot from the train station and then they circumambulate the temple 3 times clockwise, stopping at each of the 4 gates to bow. Then they sit in meditation until they feel the peace within their own minds. This temple was built around the exact spot where Prince Siddhartha Gautama reached awakening and became the Buddha some 2,500 years ago. So this place is saturated with power. It's been called the womb of enlightenment. And now something miraculous is growing from the finger of one of the statues inside. I visited the temple in March of 2025. By this point, the news had spread far and wide, so already hundreds of people were gathered around the statue when I arrived. There were monks in saffron robes and nuns in maroon. Also families with children and elderly couples holding hands. Everyone stood in silence, craning their necks to get a closer look. Nobody spoke a word, not even to ask for a photo. Some people bowed before the statue. Others closed their eyes and raised their palms in greeting. And I noticed that everyone was turning clockwise just as they circled the temple, as if they were walking the path of enlightenment and rebirth. Then I saw a small group of monks step forward. They cleaned the statue with water and flowers and incense, and they made space for a little altar with a candle and a bowl of fresh flowers. I didn't know what to think, but I knew that I wanted to come back later when there were fewer people. And on my second visit, I found that the sprout was growing upward toward the light. That's what caught everyone's attention. Its perfect symmetry with the finger and palm of the Buddha. Now, this particular statue is known as the Cosmic Buddha, or the Buddha of meditation. He sits in the Sukhasana posture, which means easy pose, and this is the mudra of meditation, the gesture of enlightenment. His left hand rests upon his left knee, palm down, fingertips facing up, and from the base of his right thumb to the tips of his little finger, he holds a set of beads. Here they are up close, worn smooth by centuries of touch and devotion. There's no ornate jewelry, no celestial beings, and no symbols of worldly power. He is just sitting in stillness, eternally searching and eternally found. And from the tip of his right index finger, the sprout reaches skyward. Now, what's truly amazing is that nobody noticed this until January of 2024. 4 months. The sprout was just a speck of green amidst all the gold leaf. Then it began to grow longer, becoming more distinct. People started asking questions, and soon the whole temple was buzzing. According to the resident monks, the statue is made of sandstone, brought here naturally from the riverbed many years ago. It's just cracked a little bit here and there. Nothing unusual for a carving that old, and yet nothing else is growing from the statue. No vines or other plants, only this singular leaf, perfectly symmetrical and impossibly green. When I asked the temple authorities, they told me that the monks don't know how long it's been there. They just noticed it last year, and it seems to be growing stronger each day. One monk told me that it's a living sign of the Buddha's infinite compassion. Another said, If you believe, you will see it as a miracle. If you do not believe, then you will seek an explanation. And of course, the skeptics did come forward. Scientists in Bodh Gaya say that this is just a rare but natural phenomenon. They say that an airborne seed must have landed on the fingertip, where moisture and a microcrack allowed it to sprout. Botanists agreed that this kind of thing happens sometimes, like in ancient ruins or on statues, especially after a rainstorm. But the monks argue that there are no similar sprouts anywhere else. They point out that this spot is cleaned every evening, and there is no way that a seed could take root here. They also notice that the sprout doesn't resemble any local plant. It has a smooth, waxy texture and narrow, pointed leaves. Not even the most learned botanist could tell us what it is, nor could they explain why it's only growing from the finger of the Buddha. Each night, the monks cover the statue with a protective cloth, and each morning it's still there, looking exactly the same. Some believe that it sprouted overnight and will disappear just as quickly. But others disagree, saying that it's growing steadily, though how can we possibly know? So I sat in meditation for several hours, and I tried to bring an open mind and heart to this mystery. And here's what I think. First, the original Bodhi tree under which Buddha attained enlightenment still stands here today, though it's grown quite old and twisted. Its branches reach outward like arms, and the whole thing looks like a giant, gnarled fist. And according to Buddhist symbolism, trees represent life, growth, and awakening. They also teach us that everything in the universe is interconnected. Secondly, the fingers are symbolic, too. They represent teaching, giving, and guiding. So what happens when you put these two together? When you meditate on a tree growing from the finger of the Buddha, it means that his teaching is still alive, that life is still growing from wisdom, that the practice of meditation is still transforming people's lives. Thirdly, the sprout is growing upward. It reaches toward the light, just like all living things. And in this case, the light is coming from both above and below. The sun shines down on Bodh Gaya from high above, but the flame of the candle offers another kind of illumination. As the sprout reaches for the light, it also casts a shadow. Can you see it? It looks like the outline of a hand. Is it the hand of the Buddha? Is it the hand of the sprout? Or is it our hand reaching for understanding? In the end, science may never explain this phenomenon. And perhaps that's okay. We can marvel at the coincidence and contemplate the deeper meaning. Maybe it doesn't matter whether it's a miracle or moss, because the message is the same. From stillness, life emerges. I returned to Bodh Gaya several weeks later, and I found that the sprout was glowing in the sunlight. Around the statue, dozens of monks were meditating in the early morning light, their bodies turned toward the rising sun. And outside, thousands of new leaves were blossoming on the Bodhi tree. Something incredible is happening here. Some call it a miracle and some call it moss. But isn't that the point? Whether it's a miracle or moss, the message is the same. From stillness, life emerges. From the time the universe began, from the time the first humans walked this earth, we've always looked to the heavens for guidance. We wondered about the stars and planets and whether we were alone. Now, modern science tells us that there are probably trillions of planets, just like Earth, out there in the Milky Way, and that somewhere, somehow, there may be intelligent life. Well, there's no harm in believing that, but I think the real miracle is here on Earth. It's in the greenest leaves and the smallest sprouts. It est in the stillness of a statue, est hand, and the glow of a single ray of sunlight. Perhaps the Buddha still teaches, not with words, but with green leaves. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to support our work, please consider making a donation through the link in the description. And if you want to learn more about Buddhism, you can visit our website. Namaste.